Hi guys, BellaDonna Black here, and here are 10 grisly true stories that will scare the crap out of you. So, turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin. Number 1. When I was 10 or so, I went with my dad to go ice fishing, and it had just snowed the night before, so you couldn't see the ice. On our way out to the ice house, I ended up falling straight through an unmarked hole that had a very thin layer of ice covering it. The scariest part of this was instantly shutting down and sinking because of the cold. I could look up and see where I had fallen through, but couldn't swim back up to it. After a few seconds, I finally willed myself up and to the edge, where my dad pulled me the rest of the way out. Number 2. I was out camping at the ranch with my father. He bought it so we could have some similar work experiences and character building that he had when he grew up on a farm in Idaho. Anyway, it was about sunset, and we see this long cloud that was jagged, lit up by the sun. Never seen anything like it. It was obviously a missile. We thought World War III had broken out, and here comes the nukes. I remember being worried for my family in a larger city, about 30 miles away. Edit. This was in 1998. And it turns out it was a test launch in California, a state away. Number 3. My ex-wife had several weird experiences. I'll just relate this one. I'm at work one day when she calls me out of the blue. We were still married at the time. She usually did not call me during the day because she worked the night shift. She tells me to call my friend Danny and make sure he and his family are okay. When I ask why, she tells me that she had a dream but can't remember it, but that I should call Danny and make sure he's okay. So I call Danny and check in with him. I tell him about my wife's dream. He's mildly confused, but tells me that he and his family are fine and to thank my wife for her concern. I call her back and let her know all is well. She's very dubious when she hears the news. I found out later that within half an hour of my phone call to Danny, he got another call from his uncle in Florida to tell him that Danny's son had hung himself. Number 4. My granddad had a dream about his sister being in a plane crash, so he called her in the morning. She was fine, but planning a short trip later that day to visit her son or something. He told her to postpone a day. The flight she would have been on crashed. Number 5. I rode out in front of a car on my bike when I was 11, and the car honked really loud at me. I stupidly flipped the car off, and they came to a screeching halt. A huge guy stepped out and went to open his trunk. His girlfriend got out of the passenger side crying and screaming, begging him not to open the trunk. I was frozen in fear. He got back in the car and sped off. I have no idea what was in the trunk. Hopefully not a fully automatic machine gun on a turret. Number 6. I got home from work late one night. Was walking onto my front stoop when I walked right into this huge spider web. At first, I didn't think much of it until I looked down and saw about 20 to 30 baby spiders all over me. I started freaking out, then noticed the parents sitting on my front door. They were huge, bigger than a quarter, so of course I did not want to use the front door. I run to my back door, throw off all of my clothes, and jump in the shower. I then watched as baby spiders began falling out of my hair. Number 7. My sister and I were playing outside when we were younger, and an elderly couple was walking by our yard. Our yard has a cemetery in the back, so it's quite a common local attraction for tourists, as this house was built in the 1800s, and most of the graves were from children who died back then from the flu. There were some creepy stories from that place, but nothing lives up to what happened all those years ago. Playing outside, and this old couple kept pestering my sister about her name. As they approached us and got closer, we were just little kids and got terribly scared and ran inside and told our mum what had happened. The following week, I heard a story in the news about an elderly couple approaching a teenage girl, kidnapping her and raping her, and it was the same couple that had approached my sister and I. Number 8. My mother-in-law was a very funny and cool woman. She and my wife were really close, and sadly, she passed away when our son was about 4 months old. Flash forward a few years, we live in an old 1930s era craftsman house in Pasadena, California. Our son is about 3 at the time. I was giving him a bath one night and he started looking over my shoulder. Not at random stuff, but at something. A moment passes and he asked me why Grandma calls Mummy a funny name. I asked him what he meant, thinking I was talking about my mum. He then says, "Why does Grandma call Mummy?" My mother-in-law's nickname for my wife. I was really set back by this. My wife and I never used the nickname. It was just what her mum called her since she was a baby. I asked him where he heard that from. His reply, "The farmer told me." I asked him who the farmer was, and he replied, "His friend." I tell my wife the story later, and she of course reduces to tears over the whole nickname thing. We both know there's no way for him to know this, and we just kind of marvel at it. Flash forward to the next weekend, and my son is playing in his room. My wife is at work, and I am at home. I hear him start talking like he's having a conversation. He's saying things like, "Yes, no, I don't know that." Then some laughing. I go into his room and ask him what he's doing, and he says he's playing. I ask who with. He says the farmer. At this point, I'm already thinking about the fucking Exorcist movie and Captain Heidi. It's a little unsettling. I ask him where the farmer is. He says he left when I came in. The fuck? So, my wife gets home and I tell her this, and now she's just as weirded out as I am. We have no idea what to do, and figure it happens again, we'll do something. A few days later, in the middle of the night, we both overhear our son saying the following: "Grandma says you and I can't be friends anymore." My wife and I go check on him, both of us a little freaked. He's just sitting up in bed. I ask if he's okay, and he says yes. Grandma says I can't play with the farmer anymore. He never once mentioned the farmer again. Not ever. He's 13 now and doesn't remember any of it. We do though. Number 9. When I was young, I'd say 8 to 11ish. My sister, who was 7 years older, would babysit me if my parents were out. At the time, she smoked a lot, and my parents made her smoke outside, of course. So, I'd follow her outside into the carport, which faced the street, and play around, annoy her and such. One day, my sister notices a car at the end of the driveway, just sitting in the road. It's a white SUV, I believe a mid-90s Bravado? Not sure. With a bike rack on top. It has the most tinted windows I've ever seen. You could not see inside from the side. It sat there until she went inside, then would drive to the end of the road and sit at the church parking lot and wait. Wait until she'd come out again for another smoke, and it would repeat this. Odd, but my sister's a brave lady and just kind of ignored it. That is, until the next day while my parents were out again, and it showed up again. I would sit at the end of the driveway and just watch. I don't know what the driver was doing, but he was watching my sister. If I didn't go out, I'd watch from the front window, and I would just sit there and watch my sister. She told my father, who was a sheriff deputy at the time, and he called the cops and made a complaint. They showed up, looked around, but the SUV was nowhere to be seen. Months went by, and nothing. Then, one day, a good 9 months after this had all started, and 4-ish since the last sighting, it was back. It became a regular occurrence. Another day, my sister was outside doing her nasty habit, and sure enough, here it comes. This time, we were alone as usual, and she decides she's had enough. She tells me to stay in the carport, and she's going to go confront them. She starts walking towards the SUV, and halfway down the driveway, she would later remark to us, "I felt utter terror, like I knew if I went any further, I was dead. I was paralysed by pure fear." She turned round and went inside. Finally, the family car was in the shop for some kind of issue, so we were all stuck home for a night and had to get delivery. While my parents are home, my sister goes outside to smoke. I go outside with her, and eventually the SUV shows up. She tells me to run inside and tell my father, and I do. My dad promptly gets his gun and starts briskly walking down the driveway with it in hand, in the direction of the SUV, but not levelled towards it. The SUV floored it down the road and peeled out onto the nearby large highway. My dad, being a cop, noted the year and model and distinguishing features. The scariest thing? The license plate had been covered in duct tape. We never saw it again. Number 10. One day, while doing my laundry, one of the lights blew out in my basement. My basement is set up so that the laundry room is split from the other side of the basement, with a wall and door. In order to get upstairs, you have to exit the laundry room and go through the other part of the basement. So, the light blew in another part, not the laundry room, as it was the only light on the side. It was pretty fucking dark. I finished the laundry I had to do while dreading the walk through the dark basement. I exit the laundry room, get halfway through the basement, and I hear a loud cackle. Imagine the sound people make when they imitate a witch. Take that, and imagine that the witch had been smoking for 50 years, making her voice deeper and hoarser. That is what I heard, clear as day, right behind me. I did not look hesitant to bolt for the door. I waited until my father got home and then changed the bulb. I've yet to hear that cackle since, and I've not told a single person in the house about it. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can also leave a comment below. All feedback, good or otherwise, is always appreciated. If you have any creepy stories of your own, or have any topics that you would like me to cover, feel free to send them in via any of my social media. You can find all links to my social media in the description below. Until next time guys, make sure you lock your doors, stay safe, and I'll see you next video.